Manager R&D at the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative Limited (IFCO), and he is also a co-founder of Smart Aerosol Technologies USA. Prior to joining IFCO, he was a research scientist at the Department of Energy, Environmental and Chemical Engineering at Washington University in St. Louis, USA. And Dr. Raliya's research expertise is in product and technology development with the aim of reducing fertilizer runoff while improving sustainability in agriculture. He is also a proud inventor of a variety of processes for synthesizing novel or inorganic and organic nanoforms with independently controlled properties. And he's published has more than 75 publications, 3 books, and over 15 patents. And over to you, Dr. Raliya.
Thank you, Professor Swaminathan, for giving me an opportunity to interact with the participants of Bengaluru India Nano 2022. I'm going to share a brief presentation related to nano material application in agriculture for its sustainable and precision. I hope you can confirm me that you can see the slide.
Yeah,
Thank you. So good afternoon, good morning to other people, other part of the world people who joined online. I would like to talk about nanotechnology based sustainable and precision agriculture. Uh, Whenever we talk about sustainability and precision, we see the perspective that why this is really required and what are the global scenario. If we look on the data presented here on the slide, we can see that the food insecurity, which is marked in the red circle, you can see that the food insecurity is not only related to the particular geographical region, but also it is linked with the accessibility of advanced agrochemicals, fertilizers, or other technologies which are playing their critical role to produce the crop productivity. You can see the red dot and orange in a comparison with Asia, Africa, and North America and Europe, and compared to the Latin American Caribbean. The global population as of now is around 7.7 billion, but it is expected that it's going to grow more than 9 billion by 2050. And by that time, we need to produce more food over the period of time. So the question comes that how we have sustained this agricultural crop productivity so far using the natural resources or the resources that we are having with us. So there are various sources, for example, the inclusion or using of genetics, machines and agrochemicals, whether it is hybrid seeds of wheat or the corn or the other varieties, disease resistance or stress resistance varieties, which increase the crop productivity. Then we also used drip irrigation technologies that basically helped us to efficiently utilize the water sources and grow the crops in less water. And then we developed some technologies or preservatives that increase the shelf life, texture, flavor, or quality of our food. And among that, one of the important is the reaction mentioned below is an Haber-Bosch process through which we developed an ammonia-based fertilizer, which basically helped us to increase the crop productivity. But now, because the global population is constantly increasing, so we need to increase the agricultural productivity. As per the recent publication of this Nature Nanotech, they highlighted the 4 major crops growing and consuming globally, and they seen that if we look on the trend from 1960s to 2008 and the forecast from beyond to 2050, we can see that on an average, the world will require to increase 2.4% yield improvement every year without the involvement of additional land under the cultivation. And that we can see that over the period of time, there are various challenges where the land is decreased and the productivity is more or less stagnant or even reducing when we compare with fertilizer response ratio. That a kilogram of grain production from a kilogram of fertilizer, the ratio is very worrying. So the agriculture require technological solutions to address the challenges or the nexus of food, energy and water, using the minimum input with maximum output and sustainability, whether it is fertilizer cost down or increasing the biomass yield or nutrition of the crop, or providing efficient fertilization so that the use efficiency of the fertilizer can increase, and there is a minimum runoff so that water pollution or the soil pollution or air pollution can be reduced. Then there are a discussion related to society 5.0, which basically talks that how we can achieve with minimum input and maximum output. For that, the human-centric society, which require both the interconnection of cyber world versus the physical world. Here I am talking about the role of data science, role of Internet of Things, and the connected with the agriculture and increasing the agricultural productivity and the sustainability. And nanotechnology at the core of all of these technological based solutions, whether we develop some sensors or chips, or we develop some disease detection sensors, or we provide some polymers which are just presented to encapsulate the active ingredients, or we develop nanomaterial itself as an active ingredient or carrier materials. So using the nanoscale properties, whether it is quantum effects or its surface area to volume size ratio, or providing more opportunity at the surface level to interact with the biological surfaces, this material that we engineered material which we make at nanoscale 1 to 100 nanometer, at least at one dimension, provide us an opportunity to bring the disruptive and game-changing breakthroughs and innovations to solve or ease out the human life. If we look on particularly related to the fertilizer, which is like a focus talk of mine and my group, uh, if we look on the fertilizer, the globally, the fertilizer is the 75% fertilizer market is dominated with three elements, N, P and K, from the uh, other essential micro and macronutrients of the essentially required for the crop. And on the right side of this graph, if you see that how the Haber-Bosch process, the nitrogenous or ammonia-based fertilizer production process, helped us to sustain the global population by increasing the crop productivity. But the challenge with this fertilizer, among through the nitrogenous fertilizer, that the majority of the fertilizer of nitrogenous is also a urea. And if we look on the urea, which basically accounts of like more than 82% of the all the nitrogenous fertilizer applied to crops across the globe. And that's why we need to, there is an urgent need to discuss about this product, because the use efficiency of the granular urea that we are using today is just 30 to 40%. And because of the lesser use efficiency, we are keep applying nitrogenous fertilizer, particularly urea, through broadcast application. And we see that because of that even in India and other countries, there is an imbalanced use of urea causes the distortion of NPK ratio in the soil, and which affects the environment, whether it is soil pollution, air pollution or water pollution. There are various efforts being made by regulation level, policy level, whether it is for our framework, nutrient stewardship framework, which basically talks about right source at right time, right doses and at the right place. And then there are discussion that how can we ban the use of solid urea because it is causing the air pollution. And then there are discussion among the society of both scientific and policy makers and end users like farmers, uh, that who will pay the price, whether it is farmers or policymakers or industry, or like who will do that. So as a researcher, we all are making our efforts since many years or many decades now, and we developed some solutions, like for example coating of fertilizers. In India, we are talking about neem-coated urea fertilizer. It provides an hydrophobic core on the surface of urea, which basically help urea to release hydrolyze slowly in the soil so that its volatilization or leaching uh, become minimized. Then there are development related to mixing of multinutrients like NPK complex or zincated urea, or mixing multinutrients like micro and macronutrients. Then there were developments related to dissolving of fertilizers like water soluble fertilizer or liquid fertilizers, and we are giving them through drip irrigation and so on. Then there were a discussion or development related that how to minimize the impact of agrochemicals or chemical fertilizers. So we started using biostimulants or living organisms in terms of nutrient mobilizing microorganisms of fungus and bacteria, which is we call like co-fertigation along with chemical fertilizer. Then there are discussion related to reducing the particle size to nanoscale, 1 to 100 nanometer at least at one dimension, for the better dispersion or the better use efficiency. And if we talk about nano in agricultural application, it is not only fertilizer, but nanotechnology today offer various opportunities, whether it is disease detection or disease diagnosis for the crop, or using the nano pesticides or nano fertilizers for soil applications through foliar applications, or the seed coating to increase the seed germination rate, as well as making the seedlings enabled to resist various stresses, whether biotic or abiotic, or providing soil conditioning against the uh, abiotic stress, particularly like salinity or pH, etc. And then the soil microbiome manipulation, that how can we attract more microbes in the rhizosporic zone, which can do the symbiosis or increase the symbiotic relationship even under the stress condition and provide enough nutrition and water to the crop. My group is more interested in nano fertilizer. Because of the time crunch, I put few articles as a snapshot here that we published and our colleagues published also related to nano fertilizer for sustainable and precision agriculture. But I will go on little specific about our group, which basically having an actual on manufacturing of nanomaterials, both from bottom up fabrication as well as top down approaches. In bottom up, we starts with molecular state, and we allowed our molecular state materials to nucleate and do collisional and condensational growth, and leading to the particle formation of different shape, size, surface morphology, crystal phase, and various other nanoparticle properties, whether it is hollow or whether it is solid particles, or coating of or functionalizing the surface of the particles. So we are having an excel to make these materials based on specific applications. I would like to mention one of the product which was also highlighted yesterday by the Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister in the Bengaluru Nano, about the IFCO Nano Urea. The Nano Urea that we produced, the product to solve the nutrient use efficiency problem, as well as the negative consequences of the conventional urea on the environment. This product has been approved by fertilizer control order or included in the fertilizer control order. This product is evaluated by Department of Biotechnology, ICR institutes, and CSIR institutes as well. If we talk about some of the properties of this material, typically the urea granule we see about 2.8 millimeter in size and ranges from 1 to 3 millimeter in the typical size range, but the nano urea having the particle physical size is 20 to 50 nanometer, and it has the basic nano material based properties like increasing the surface area to volume size ratio or physicochemical properties. But importantly, this material has better uptake rate and efficiency. And when we talk about surface area concentration or mass concentration and number concentration, this material required less by the mass concentration perspective, but it has better number concentration and surface area concentration. So it provides better bio interaction and efficient release kinetics, so that material can be efficiently utilized by the plants. If we look under the electron microscope, this material looks like what you see, a black and white picture with the black spots. These are the nano urea particles, and one side you see the hydrodynamic size, which basically means that when these particles are dispersed in water, what is their particle size distributions or what is their size range, and then the surface zeta potential. When we develop these kind of materials at the fundamental level, we study the delivery to the plants through various applications, whether it is foliar, dropcast, or foliar by aerosol like fine droplets, or the soil applications. And we measured the materials not from their quantitative perspective inside the tissue, but we also do the quantitative analysis, that how many number of particles we actually applied on the crop or the plant, and how much they uptake by the plant leaves or through the roots, and then where they are traveling and how they are metabolizing and so on. We have found that when we apply these particles through three different techniques, soil mixing, dropcast, and the aerosol, we found that the material get absorbed much better when it is applied through aerosol process. Why? The reason is pretty simple, because in aerosol we can control the droplet size as well as droplet charge, and by controlling those two parameters we can avoid the agglomeration, aggregation of particles, which is being caused in the soil, or the leaching of the material in the soil. So this has an application of the target delivery, and once it is get absorbed by the plant system, they have their other advantage of the controlled release, releasing the nutrient in the plant available form, and improving the plant growth and productivity. I would like to show a slide here which basically tells that when we mix nanomaterials in the DM water or DI water, that is deionized water or demineralized water, and on the contrary, if you make these nanomaterials in the soil solution, a rhizospheric soil solution, you see that there is a rapid agglomeration of the particles. The reason is because soil is a complex medium, so either you have to process your particles so that particles remain in an uniform or monodisperse form, but when these particles are naked, they are not coated with something, then particles get aggregated because they caught with different factors which are present in the soil, like ions, like carbon to oxygen ratio in the soil, or which influence, both the factor influence the zeta potential, and zeta potential influence the aggregation of the particles. And we know that even from one farm field to another farm field, or one region to another region, even in India we are having so many agroclimatic zones, so the different type of soils, different type of salinity, different type of pH in the soil, and even the different practices for different crops, so they might affect the materials interaction and uptake. So thereby we recommend that apply these materials through foliar applications at this moment. Once we develop these materials, we test these nanomaterials in the controlled engineered environment, whether it is hydroponic or aeroponics or geoponics condition, and then we take them after the doses determination, we take them to the field level and we test in the controlled field, and after that we test across India or across the area of interest as per the business perspective if we look on that. Particularly, this nano urea has been tested in all the agroclimatic zones of India, almost all the states and the union territories. We have tested on more than 94 crops and at more than 11,000 farmers field during the trial stage. Because this is a vast trial and lot of observations to take, we did an collaboration or partnership with state agricultural universities and Indian Council of Agricultural Research Institutes. We involved more than 20 institutes in that, and we did long trials of about 3 years now, and we found that using nano urea we can reduce the requirement of conventional urea by about 50%, and we can achieve the yield increase by 8% by use of nano urea. And we also found that it can help enhancing the nutritional quality, whether it is protein content or carbohydrate or fiber or other nutritional content. We tested these materials because whenever we produce any material or technology, it is very important that we produce safe for our society. But we, because as an agricultural product, we also have to take part account that what are the flora and fauna associated with the plants or the farm field. So Department of Biotechnology, Government of India has an extensive guideline to evaluate nano-based agri inputs and food products, and this guideline is talking vastly about use of the OECD-based principles and protocols, which are globally harmonized protocols for biosafety and toxicity. We have tested these products on all the associated flora and fauna, whether it is earthworm, honeybee, pollinators, or birds, or mice, or including the in vitro condition for the human and other higher kingdom animals. And we found that nano urea is safe at the recommended doses. Since the product is new, we all know that since last 2 days discussion at Bengaluru Nano, that the technology is new. Sometimes we also have to make aware our customers or even the researchers which are working in the same area. So IFCO has developed this dedicated website, nanourea.in. I would urge the audience to have a look on that so that they can get sense of more information about, particularly about this product. In summary, nano-fertilizer for sustainable and precision agriculture, where I gave an account first and overall how nanotechnology involved and can help agricultural sustainability and its precision, and with an special example of one of our product, nano urea, which can help in target delivery or controlled release, keeping the nutrient in plant available form. This is the one example we gave about the nitrogen, but there are other products that our laboratory is working on, and this is required less by mass volume and help in improving the agricultural productivity, nutritional quality, and sustainability. And it also help meeting the various uh, sustainable development goals determined by the United Nations, whether it is related to emissions or eutrophications or related to health, and also to the poverty. But I would also like to mention, because here are various scientific leaders are being participated in, so there are various future thrust area we have to work on, because we are facing challenges related to the climate change. We have to feed more than 10 billion people by 2050, which is just 30 years from now or less than that. And we are having a challenges of availability and accessibility of various natural resources, whether it is soil, air, water, or inputs like seed, fertilizers, and also the accessibility of market, as well as educating the community who is dominating the agriculture. Like for example, our farmers, they need more educations towards the new technologies, the adoption of the technologies, and like that, so that the faster adoption of the technologies can be happened at the farm level. We also need to develop few products related to real-time monitoring of crop health or the environmental health. We need to use the data science to do the prediction for optimization or analysis. Nanotechnology certainly help in other parts to generating hardwares, but also to reduce the mass volume at the agrochemical level, biotechnology to improve the cellular efficiency, whether whatever the nutrients you are providing to the soil, it can uptake efficiently, whether it is increasing the number of pores on the root surface or improving the uptake efficiency through the leaf, or the fortification of soil for the plants and food for human. With that, I would like to thank my research team, as well as my organizations, IFCO, and part of the research I presented from Washington University in St. Louis, and also from Center for Rural Development, New Delhi, IIT Delhi. With that, I would like to thank you and would be happy to take some questions.